Good evening, everyone. From London, UK, all the way to the US of A and worldwide. I'm your host, Callum L, and this is Talk with the Titans. Let me start off by saying, Seth, greetings. You know, I greet you all in peace. Let me just make sure I mute out everybody's mics. And let's get it popping, baby. Let's get it popping. Because you know what, Asaf? What are we? What are we right now?
Oh, baby, Kalam, Kalam is the man with the get you, got, baby. Here we go, Titans TV. Oh, baby, that's the one, Kalam. That's the one. We live, baby.
We live, baby. We live. All right. And you know what? Yeah, we have to get it up, Angie, up today because you know what? It's late. It's late, baby. It's late. So, Daniel, I see you in the building. Harry, I know you're in the building. Bernie Stacks, you want me, etc., etc. We got a lot of people in the building. We know we got the lovers and the likers here as well, showing the love, giving us those big thumbs up from the get-go because they already know what the show is about. They support Titans TV. So, man, we're about to get it in. Of course, we know the haters gonna hate, but they love to hate. So we love you, haters. We love you. We love that you're here. We love that you're actually watching the show because you know what? Subliminally, subconsciously, this information is hitting you. It's hitting you. It's planting seeds inside of your body right about now. You may be being hurt up somehow, but sooner or later, the right conditions, the sun's gonna come out. There's gonna be a nice amount of rain, and you're gonna blossom. You're gonna blossom. So it's all right. We don't mind the hate, baby. We don't mind. All right. My man says he's been waiting since 10 o'clock. I know. Let's get in, man. Let's get in, family. Let's get in. So tonight, the show is actually about Kemetic spirituality and, the Kemetic spiritual science explained, to be honest with you, okay? Now, I know we're starting the show late, so what I would love for you guys to do is actually hit the share button, hit the share button, share it with all your family, your friends, on your contact list, to be honest with you, let them know that we're live right about now, okay? Now, if you need to know how to do that, let's see if I can get that up and running for you. Because all you simply need to do over here, right down here, where's the share button? There it is. Hit the share button. You share on your Facebook, your Google Plus, your Tumblrs, whatever, your Pinterest, whatever it is. Literally just hit the share button. You can start it at a particular point or just start it straight away. And let's get it in, family, yeah? Come on, help Titans TV, support us. And you know what we'll do? We'll support you in return, okay? So family, let's get it in. It's Kemetic science and Kemetic spirituality explained. Hopefully, I want to do a nice, sharp, short, succinct show today. And we already done like an hour something this afternoon. Let's hope for another hour and a half, okay? I know the hour and a half is going to turn into 2 hours, but let's hope for an hour and a half. I'm trying to aim for an hour, to be honest, but let's get it in, family. Let's get it in. So, first and foremost, Asakin, come in.
Yes, sir. ETE Mhetep, Sini, Sinet, Ankwas Dejed, Dua. Thanks for listening to Brother Kalam. Life, strength, and health to all my brothers and sisters out there. And let's go right in. First and foremost, in ancient Kemet, you'll generally hear a couple terms. These particular terms are Shemsu Heru, Shemsu Set, Shemsu Asar, Hekin the chair, etc., etc. What these terms mean are a follower of nature, in particular, a particular aspect of nature that people would cling to the most. Shemsu Heru, what you would say, because the king is the Heru, the Nasu is the Heru. The king is the Heru in ancient Kemet. And we would all follow suit and follow the king. You hear me say Hekin the chair because at the moment there is no king. So Hekin means praise, Necher means the divine, or what you would call God. So this is kind of on where we get our precepts and how we follow. The kings, if you look in, let's go to Abydos first, right? The Asarian chamber in the 11th Queret of the Amduat. So if you get your book of Egyptian Heaven and Hell or the Amduat, you'll see in the Asarian area of Meron Ptah's temple in Abydos, on the west wall in particular, you will find the Nasu kneeling and making an offering with the inscription It is that the Nisu, the king, Ba in Ra, soul in Ra, Mer Ptah, love of Ptah, Ma'akeru, true voice, Sa Ra, son of Ra, Hetep Her Ma'at, peace offering in Ma'at, Mer Ptah in Asar, because he is an Asar. And he says, the king soul in Ra, loved by Ptah, true voice, son of Ra, Hotep Her Ma'at, Mer Ptah, is before Asar. He's in front of the Asar because he is an Asar. He's a part of nature or the divine. Description, the vertical line states there is offered to them a handful upon earth when entering the pylon of the sacred land. In the upper register, there are 4 men with their arms lifted in praise. And on this wall, when you see these 4 men lifted in praise, if you ever go to Abydos, you will see under it, it says Hekin you, the praisers. In another portion of this same register, the same wall, standing, there are people called Ba'uta. Those are called the souls of the earth. So now you understand the linguistics that we're using and how we come to these particular names and terms. If you go to the first division of the Amduat, the heaven and hell of ancient Kemet, it's called Net Ra. It also brings our attention to the boat of Ra, Heru Hekenu, or Heru the praiser. So the king in ancient Kemet, and the particular aspect, the divine nature of Heru is to praise. Why? Because we say this divine Heru Ra, the sun in the sky, was birthed by other aspects. So that Ra gives praise to what brought him into being. What brings this into being? The Nun and the Na'unet. Those 2 aspects of nature are Netcher, the divine, which make up your pet, your heaven, which is the dark matter and the dark energy. T-0 for my scientists is the beginning that had no beginning, or the very first time. So before we get Nun and Na'unet, or before we know that Nun and Na'unet exist as a part of the pout or the sky, we have what we call Zep Tepi, which is the first time, or what scientists call T-0. And when quantum fluctuation happens, Nun and Na'unet reveal themselves, and things start to come into birth. And then different aspects of the Netcheru start to exist. Tefnut, moisture, Shu, air. The earth develops, which we call Seb. Our immediate solar system develops, which is called what? Newt. Our galaxy develops, which is called Heru, the golden cow, which now we call the Milky Way galaxy. You ever wonder where these things are derived from? And I'm going to stop right there for a minute, and I'm going to let my other brother speak for a little while.
Jeez. Hey, listen, Asar, I know you know when you see
Yes,
the
sir.
pharaohs, you're literally holding the 9 bows by their forelock, yeah, and about to scalp them. Fam, you went straight to the jugular. That's what the man was saying in the comment section. I think we need to just slow it down. Like, you took it there, you literally took it there. All right, cool. Say nothing. Let me just give my quick shout outs to everybody as well. Shouts to J Black, shouts to Kiss Spence, shouts out to Bigger Valley, Parvinder as well. And thank you. Daniel has donated as well. So shouts to Daniel Patterson as well, my brother. Yeah. So give thanks to everybody who's actually donating and showing the love. They're loving this information, People are literally at work, they're literally trying to sleep, but they said, damn, I need to stay up for this, or I need to just hold out for this one. So shout outs to you guys. So I want to bring it back to the family now. I want to bring it back to the family. I want to see if we can information. This is powerful information, but I already know, yeah, this is going way over people's heads like turbans. The way is there. So I want to kind of slow it down and bring it to, this needs to be a 101. A 101. We're going to talk over people's heads, and then we're going to talk to people on their levels as well. So we're going to talk how we like to talk and how we enjoy things and how we know the information, but we've got to be mindful as well that there is a whole of people that don't know anything to do with Kemet. So I want to know who can come in next, and bring the heat as well, but try to keep it on a level that they can understand.
I can try if you want me to.
All right, let's go. Let's go.
Mm,
Jeez, you know what? Yeah. Before, yeah, I need to do my head canning to my brother. I
These
need
are
to.
little brothers right here. Let our little brothers never be afraid. Step to the plate. Your big brother here, if you drop anything, we're gonna pick it up. We here.
yes, sir.
Jeez. Aside though, you know you went in though. You know you went in.
I know.
That's what
How
I'm
do I
gonna say.
follow that? How do I follow that?
Peace up. I'm trying to keep my mouth quiet. Like Pim, Pim. Hmm. Go to Simba. Go to.
Yeah. So just one of the things I wanted to point out was there's a misconception about Kemetic spirituality that it's somehow a polytheistic religion, and it's not. What you have instead is the concept of the one in many. So you have one divine force that differentiates itself into an array of divine principles. And these principles are represented in nature and social affairs. So like Osso was saying, the earth is Jeb, the sun is Ra, the sky is Nut, and so forth. Haru, for example, represents righteousness and order, whereas Seth or Seti represents chaos. So it's not so much a question of polytheism, but it's one divine force that differentiates itself and different divine principles. And these principles are represented in nature, so we can understand these principles and interpret these principles into our own personal lives and apply them into our own personal lives. One source I think everyone should look at is the Shabaka stone, which was commissioned by Shabakans in the 25th dynasty. And he gives you an account of the so-called Memphis creation myth, where he talks about Ptah creating the universe. And what you see there is sort of an element of monotheism, if you like, inverted commas, because often when we talk about monotheism, Kemet, we automatically go to Akhenaten, but actually it goes back much further to the very beginning of dynastic Kemet in the sort of creation myths around the Ptah. The second thing I wanted to talk about was the force from within. In some Abrahamic religions, God or whatever is seen to be somehow separate or detached or transcendent from creation or nature. Whereas in Kemetic spirituality, what we understand is that the nature or the divine force existed in all things. It's in animals, it's in human beings, it's in the trees, the waters, it's everywhere. And what that tells us is that all nature is connected. You know, there's no separation, it's all connected and it all has one source. If you look at the Sphinx, for example, or what's called the Sphinx today, what you have is the body of a lion and the head of a human being. And what that's telling us is, you know, what we have to do is get in touch with Mayat so we can control our primal desires. See, the lion represents the sort of the animal force within all of us, whereas the head represents civilization and Mayat. And what we should be trying to do is you know, control the animal drive that we all have. And you do that through the practice of spiritual discipline and study and refining the divine being within yourself. And you do that by living a life according to Mayat. And Mayat is basically truth, justice, balance, order, reciprocity, harmony, and righteousness. If you look at sort of the creation stories in Kemet, Mayat was already there when the universe was being created. It was pre-existent. In fact, the universe was made through Mayat. So it's, you know, sort of the moral code is there from the beginning. And what you find in Kemet spirituality too is sort of tools for spiritual development. So you find prayer, study, fasting, meditation, rituals, ceremonies. This is where all of this stuff comes from. It comes from Kemet. And these are tools at our disposal that we can use to refine our own spiritual paths. And I won't really go into all the other stuff too, but some of the other stuff you'll find in Kemetic spirituality is dualism, for example. So you have Mayat on the one hand, which represents order, but you have Ishret on the other hand, that represents chaos. You have Kemet on the one hand, which represents the sort of the fertile black soil in Tarseti, but then you have Deshret, which represents the more barren red soil in Tarseti. You have Heru, who represents righteousness and order, and then you have Seti, who represents chaos. And if you look at the mortuary temple of Ramesses III, he has Heru on one side and he has Ramesses on the other side. You also have Upper Egypt and Lower Egypt. And even though Nama unifies Lower and Upper Egypt, it's still referred to as Upper and Lower Egypt throughout the 3,000-year period. So that's just some of the things I wanted to talk about. And in terms of, what sort of lives do we who follow the Kemetic tradition, do we seek to lead? It's a life according to Mayat. If you look at the judgment scene from the so-called Book of the Dead, from Ani, what you see is the dead person, the dead soul, or the soul of the person who's passed away, being led in the judgment in the afterlife by Ampu, and that person's heart, which represents their soul, is weighed on the scale of Mayat against the feather of truth. And hopefully, if your deeds were well while you was living, the feather of truth will be heavier than your heart, and you'll be able to pass on and become divine, join the Netcharoon. But you have to live a life according to Mayat for that to happen first. So that's what we try to do every day, is to live a life according to Mayat. And a good place to start is to look up the 42 negative confessions of Mayat, and it gives you a nice sort of introduction into the moral code, into what Mayat is. So some of the confessions are: I have not done iniquity, I have not robbed with violence, I have not stolen, I have not done murder, etc., etc. So that's just a sort of brief introduction into what we're talking about here. Now I'll let someone else come in. Any other brothers in the comment?
All right, let me pass it on to the other brothers still. Again, please, everybody, hit the share button, hit the share button. I know there's a few people on Facebook hollering at me, so don't worry, man. You lot coming in, just watch it via YouTube first, and then a little bit later on, we're definitely gonna invite more of the audience in. If you've got any questions, okay, all you need to do is just tag Titans TV, and then just your questions or comments separate to that as well. Titans TV and your questions, so it highlights to me, so I know when to actually, zoom in on something. All right, go true. My brother Phil.
Hey, how y'all doing? I don't know if I'm too loud, but I want to introduce y'all to something called the inner light. All right, and I'm gonna read something.
My brother.
Yes.
Before you do that, yeah, I just need to just do something right now, because the family is supporting. The family is supporting hard, like swear down. If I don't show listen, seeing this, let me know if you guys are actually seeing this. Can you see what the family is doing right now? They're actually showing the love. They're showing the love. Yeah.
Amen. Uncle Washed, may you live with stability and strength, my brethren. Brother Amen. Anything you need from us all, you got it.
That's love. That's love. That's mad love right there. So shouts to the family, man. Amen, and shouts to Honey Fair as well for really representing, really showing their love for the channel and so forth. Like Asai, okay, ready? Simba, Bill, ready? Y'all getting that love, man. Y'all getting that love.
Appreciate it.
All right, I'm gonna introduce you to something called the inner light, and I'm gonna read it to you guys. It says, he came to teach the great doctrine of the inner light, to priests of the temples, to the powerful sacerdotal heresy of the Egypt lands and Kemetic people, headed by the Pharaoh. In the inner court of the chief temple, he taught them of the light lighteth, every man cometh into the world. I said, the light that lighteth, every man that cometh into the world. A phrase of his that was handed down through the ages. and was echoed in the fourth gospel in as early as Egyptian colored words. He taught them. And he also taught them that the light is universal, and that the light, which is God, dwelt in the heart of every man. I am the light. He bade them repeat. That light I am, that light, he said, is true man. Although men may not recognize it, although they may neglect it, Osiris is the light. So I'm about to segue into a story that probably will sound pretty familiar with you guys, you know? He came forth from the light. He dwelt in the light. He is the light. The light is hidden everywhere. It is in every rock and in every stone. When a man becomes one with Osiris the light, then he becomes one with the whole of which he was part. And then he can see the light in everyone. So that's basically saying, if you emulate that, then you shall become that. However, thickly veiled, pressed down and shut away, all the rest is not, but the light is. The light is life of men. To every man, though there are glorious ceremonies, though there are many duties for the priest to do. Many understood this and would help man, and the light is nearer to everyone else within their heart. For every man, the reality is nearer than the ceremony. Osiris is the heavens, but Osiris is also in every heart of every man. When Osiris is in the heart, and the heart knows Osiris, he's in the heavens. The man becomes God. And Osiris, once rent into the fragments, again becomes one. Osiris, the divine spirit, Isis, the eternal mother, gave life to Horus. Who is man?
Jeez. See that? My brothers are just dropping that heat, they're dropping that fire. Somebody actually asked the question, okay? Someone asked the question, when you say the divine force is in all of men, is the divine force in us human beings too? Well, I guess the answer has just been given to you. Phil, you cut out for a hot minute, man. You cut out still. You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Go ahead, man. You was going in still. Go ahead.
All right. All right, there's two births of Horus. He is born of Isis, the god born into humanity, taking flesh of the mother eternal. Matter, the ever virgin. Who y'all think he's talking about? The ever virgin. He is born again into Osiris, redeeming his mother from her long stretch of the fragments of every single part of her body. See, what they did was they changed things around. It was too complex for them to understand. I just want everybody to understand, man. This is a transpersonal movement. Okay? And that's the end game. I'm out.
All right, perfect. So I want to go quickly to our audience members. I know they've asking a lot of questions and making a lot of comments. So let me just support my audience real quickly and get some of your questions actually answered. I just think all of spirituality is just physical. Here, let's see if he adds anything onto that. Let's see. This sounds like religion. All right. Okay, cool. So I want to know, is spirituality physical? Is spirituality physical? That's the question I'm going to ask you guys.
It has to be physical.
Oh, go ahead, Samba.
Yeah, I was just going to say, brother, yeah, it has to be physical. I mean, in some sense, I mean, the universe is a natural framework. It's a physical framework, and we exist within the universe. I mean, you know, you can see me, I'm, you know, flesh and blood, you know. So on one level, certainly, in terms of spiritual practice, it has to be physical. Go ahead, brother, also.
It's definitely physical, but it's also spiritual. So when he was just reading that, he's talking about the aspect of the Sar, or the aspect of the spirit, or the aspect of the soul. And the Sar we call the universal soul. So if we go into one of these tombs right now, you're going to see a couple things, whether it's a female or a male, they're going to call themselves the Asar. If you go to Nes Amsu's creation story, which you call the Bremerine Papyrus, you're also going to see Asar duplicates into more Asareses and makes more Asarus, more Netcherus. So yes, it's also spiritual. And the Greeks understood it the same way. So let me go to Plutarch, because the other hidden aspect that they turned Asar into in Thebes was Amun or Amin, as it made its way to your Quran and it made its way to your Bible. Here's what Plutarch says concerning Amun. He says this. He says, moreover, most people believe that Amun is the name given to Zeus in the land of the Egyptians, a name which we, with slight alteration, pronounce Amun. But Manetho of Sebenites thinks that the meaning is concealed or concealment lies in this word, meaning it's hidden. Hecatius of Abdera, however, says that the Egyptians used this expression one to another whenever they call to anyone, for the word is a form of address. When they therefore address the supreme God, or Netcher in our case, whom they believe to be the same as the universe, visible and concealed, and implore him to make himself visible and manifest to them, they use the word Amun. So great then was the circumspection of the Egyptians in their wisdom, touching all that had to do with the gods or the Netcheru. So they're telling, Plutarch is telling you right there, as he's writing to his Ethiopian girlfriend, that the hidden force, a star or Amun, if you will, is in everything. We call it the universal soul. And it's also the physical universe. All things are one. All is in one. For my Christians, go to Ephesians 1:23. It's going to tell you Christ is in all and all are in Christ. For my Muslims, you already think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created everything. Right? Allahu ahad, Allahu samad. So we already know. We already know what you think. So we're talking about the creation, which is a part of the whole, and all are in all, and all is in the all.
I definitely agree with that. I mean, in terms of, I was just making the point that in terms of the spiritual practice, it's certainly a physical thing. But yes, there's certainly a metaphysical dimension to a Kemetic spirituality, because you're dealing with concepts, you're dealing with allegory, you're dealing with mythology. And mythology doesn't necessarily mean falsehood. It's a way of encapsulating the story and conveying it in a way where you have deep spiritual truths involved. So yeah, so it's physical in one sense, but there's an added dimension that is metaphysical, as my brother just said.
All right. Let's see. I'm going to go into some more comments and questions. Again, people, if you want to get my attention, all you have to do is type in Titans TV and then your question or comment. Okay, that way it just helps me to zoom straight into your particular question. All right. And that is the spiritual food is much needed. Everybody's getting filled right about now. I'm wondering where my medicine man is as well. Let's see, humans coming into knowledge of self and the environment through observation and science. Oh man. Okay, cool. I'm gonna let you guys continue. You're just trying to pull out the right comments to actually ask you guys. And so if you guys would like to take over, please do.
You know, animal deities. I'm just going to let you know the Egyptians also follow the ancient practice of regarding certain animals as mirroring various aspects of the divine. I'm going to say that again. They follow the ancient practice of regarding certain animals as mirroring various aspects of the divine because of their outstanding qualities. Thus, they took the intelligence of the ape, the clear-sightedness of the hawk, the strength of the bull, and so on, and attributed the quality to some particular aspects. You know, they carefully bred certain animals as a perfect representation of their species and kept them apart as symbols of those divine qualities, such as the apis, the bull, and the cat of bass or paths. These animals were regarded not exactly as sacred, but as objectified animals of the qualities. In the beginning, the creature was a mere symbol, but in later days, they had the idea that those which have been especially set apart came to be linked with the Godhead, and so were, in some extent, the manifestation of the deity. And then they embalmed the animals and laid up the mummies in their temples with the intention of preserving the divine influence. So it was just a lot of influence. God was everywhere around them. You see, I'll tell you one thing. God has, look, God has housekeepers of the earth, right? Down to the little ants that pick up everything. That's the housekeepers. It's just a cycle. If you see an animal die, yeah, that's sad. But to the animal that's eating it, that other animal has cubs that it has to take care of. So it's not in malice. It's killing to survive in the sense where it's understood. Killing for nothing makes no sense. You understand? You stepped on my sneaker. You bumped me and say, excuse me. Now, we don't cast those people that do things like that. We cast them worse than maybe the hustler that's trying to get the paper. Now it's survival. Now it's kind of like, I kind of understand. Not to, justify it. You don't agree, but you understand. So it just goes to show that this whole way of life is revolved around God when it comes down to survival and happen to keep your civilization stable, agriculture. You have to respect the earth. It's going to feed you. You can't pollute the earth. So they would make it sacred. They would make it sacred so you can respect it more. If people take it for granted, they're not going to respect it. That's all the whole Kemetic science is about. Respecting everything around you and cherishing everything around you. And knowing that God made a system for you to thrive off of in order for you to survive.
Yeah, absolutely.
You understand?
Right. Yeah.
I'll pass it on.
Yeah, I mean, it just goes back to the earlier point of everything being connected, and if you understand that the divine force is within all living things, even this very planet is connected to us, and it's gonna have an influence on how you treat your fellow man, how you treat animals, how you treat the environment. You're not going to pollute the environment because you understand the sacred significance of the environment. Sure, and I just wanted to show you guys something. This is from the so-called Book of the Dead. And if you guys can see that, and and this is the judgment scene. That after every person dies, your soul stands before the Netcheru, and you're judged. And that's what every person has to prepare themselves for. And it's not a literal sort of understanding, but the lesson is that you have to live a life according to Mayat, a life according to truth, a life according to righteousness. So that one day when you pass on, you may be worthy enough to join the Netcheru. That's the life. That's your life's mission as a person who adheres to Kemetic spirituality. It's to live a life according to Mayat. And I'll pass it on to my brothers. I see Sarah here.
All right. I want to touch on that in a hot second. I want to see. Sorry, you here, fam? I know you're coming a little bit late. Just if you need
Yeah, I'm coming late, half asleep. I just saw the message. What's good?
We're
sorry.
talking Kemetic spirituality, King. Kemetic spirituality. I don't know if you've got anything that you would like to just quickly add, drop some bombs real quickly. Again.
Spiritual side of I just kind of got in listening about art and the judgment scene. Kemetic spirituality to me is I don't know. I'm just gonna have to give my own personal opinion. You and I have discussed this already, Callum, but it's principles for living life that are not attempting to superimpose these same principles on other people. It's the way the people of the Nile Valley saw things according to their own understanding, and I don't generally see anything wrong with it. I generally see something as as you can we've spoken to Hindus and Sikhs and stuff, and we've kind of seen the similarities within Kemetic spiritual system and their spiritual system also within Buddhism. So these kind of systems for me are systems that center you as a human being. I'm all about centering yourself as a human being and getting to know yourself and your surroundings and being at quote unquote peace with yourself and at peace with your surroundings. So for me, Kemetic spiritual systems do that. They seek to remove the ego from the individual and make the individual understand that they are part of a whole, and you cannot separate yourself from it. So yeah, that's just basically my take on, I guess, Kemetic spiritual systems and I guess African spiritual systems in general.
All right, all right. I want to know, okay, because I know a lot of our audience out there are learners, are beginners. They want to get involved with Kemetic spirituality. So I want to ask everybody in the panel, what is one book, pamphlet, or scripture, whatever it is, you would offer to these individuals to help them to learn more about the ethical or spiritual system within inside of Kemet?
Since we're talking ethics, I just wrote a book. It's called The Virtues of Ma'at, and it's more of a college course, not just a writing on Ma'at. So I give you the full understanding and aspects that you need to comprehend and understand. It's on docs.com under Asarim Ka. So if you go to docs.com and then you pull up my name, AUSAREMKA, it's going to show you 3 different things. One of them is the Virtues of Ma'at book, and that's free. That's free for you, and it's basically a college course. And there's about 800 people who have delved into it so far. Make yourselves one of them. This way you don't have to guess. This way you don't have to, oh, I don't know. What is so-and-so saying? Forget that. Go to the ancestors, and that's what I do. Aside from that, I will tell you, if you're going to one of the ancestors books, you need to get, what's the better book? One of 2, the instructions to Keti to Mary Ka Ra, or you need to get the instructions of Ptahhotep to his son, Ab Ibra. So either one of those, and they're all
Come on, King,
free.
I asked you to choose one. You just chose at least 2 of the ones I had in backup. Like, you finished my life.
Give a did you take a yard, don't he?
choose one so I can still have my one, man. Choose one.
Go grab Ptahhotep just because it's more in depth.
Let me share my screen. Let me share my screen right now so you know. This is how I know great minds think alike, Do you see that right there? I literally typed in the Ptahhotep Book of Instructions, and I wanted to show them the images where to go. This is the oldest book. It says here, oldest book in the world of Ptahhotep. So let me go into that real quickly. The maxims of Ptahhotep, so people can get teachings of Ptahhotep. Yeah. So here's some quick little teachings. It says here, if you are a leader, responsibility in the matters entrusted to you, and you accomplish things of note. If you are a man of authority, be patient. When you are listening to the words of the petitioner, do not dismiss him until he is completely unburdened himself of what he had planned to say to you. One knows a wise one because of his wisdom. An official is at his good deeds. His heart is in balance with his tongue. His lips are accurate when he speaks. So there's a lot more. There's a lot more selected passages. Great is the law of Ma'at, etc., etc., etc. So this is a wonderful book here to actually go and purchase. Let's see. Do we have an Amazon link here anywhere? Or you can just simply download it. Okay. If you go to archive.co.uk, go into the different formats. These are some great introductory texts into Kemetic philosophy and ethical system. So you can literally go on to, where is it at though?
You
I'll
know,
find it properly. I can't find it properly.
I was going to say, if you go on the Scribe, since we got so many Muslim brothers that tune in, there's a great version by one of your Arab brothers who wrote about Ptah, and he did a translation recently, but it's on scribe.com. So you gotta, you either gotta write a book or you just gotta join on there. He did an excellent version that you can download. Maxims of Ptah, or go to Christian Jock, who has a pretty decent translation as well. There it goes. There go the free one.
There we go. Let's see. Is my screen on showing?
Yeah.
Showing. There you go. The instructions of Ptah and the instructions of Kagemi, the oldest books in the world.
You're gonna notice a striking resemblance to Psalms 4:104 if you put it together correctly, and you're gonna notice a lot of proverbs and kagimnas. So just so you know, the original, or what you would call a primary resource for my Christian brothers and sisters, this is where you would find those initial verses at. And I actually had a debate with a preacher and read them back to back. And he wasn't too happy, but it was all in love. So just so you know.
I love that. Okay. Phil, if you've got one book to help people with the spirituality or ethics system in ancient Egypt, Kemet, what would it be?
I got this book. Yeah, this is what
you need to make sure it's all the way in. We want images.
I'm gonna let them know. This is for. I'm gonna read some a passage for other deities and the concept about other deities. Many other deities were revered in ancient Egypt in much of the same way as numerous gods was adorned today in India. And in every case, the devotion addressed to the Supreme obtained its response through a particular channel chosen by the worshiper. Great angels of different orders and rays were appointed to represent the various qualities of the deity. And these were worshipped as gods in the older faith. But so close is the union in these cases that devotion rendered to one of these was at the same time given to God himself. Sri Krishna, speaking of the Supreme in the Bhagavad Gita, says, even those who worship other gods with devotion, full of faith, they also worship me. Wherever devotion is offered through a particular form, we may be sure that there's intelligence behind it, that form who acts as a mediator or a channel between the suppliant and the deity behind. Hathor, for instance, was the goddess of love and beauty. While as we've seen, Isis was the queen of truth and the mother of all things. Yet both were representatives of the divine feminine aspect deity, as also was Ptah or Menephilis. But Ptah was the master architect of the universe and the Holy Spirit, who is the creative fire of God. He was the celestial worker in metals and the chief smelter, caster, and sculptor of the gods, the skillful craftsman by whom the design for every part as the framework of the worlds was made. So I just wanted to let you know those are the other aspects of the deities, and even in other faiths, it's like their God is not jealous of other gods. If you want to go to that type of theology, you understand? It's not like, oh, a God is over here saying, hey, I hate this God over there. He's saying, if you fool and you devoting yourself to any type of deity, you still worshiping me. We all have the same principles. If that was the case, if you want to spread out Allah over here and bring Jesus over here and all these other people, you understand? It's like we still worshiping the same person. That's the theology behind it. You know? I'm trying to tell y'all, it's really the theology behind it, man. It's not about my God is better than your God. Only conquerors use that as a way to justify their pillage of you. They would chastise their conquered and say, hey, how come your God didn't stop me from taking you over? My God is more powerful. And that's a way of persuasion to get you to succumb to their ideologies. You got to remember that. Theology is the main, that's the foundation. That's the foundation. People got to really understand that. That's all I want to stress. Thank you, Kalim.
No doubt, no doubt. Sarah, I wanted to know, if there was one book on spirituality or ethics from Kemet, what would you advise people to go and purchase?
For me, it would be the Husia by Maulana Karenga, who's also the founding father of the celebration of Kwanzaa. He wrote a book, well, he translated texts called the Husia, and for me, it's a very beginner's friendly book into the texts of Kemet. So that, when I read that myself, that for me was, I read that at quote unquote beginning stages, and it made a lot of sense to me. So I would definitely, oh, thank you for that, share that. So I would definitely recommend that book there. But I'm going to leave you lot to it because I just woke up and I think I'm going to go back to sleep because it's like 2:30 in the morning. Oh, it's 12:30 in the morning here, and I got to be up. So, Callum, I just came to bless because I saw the message. But, it's time for me to roll out. So you guys continue doing what you're doing. But yeah, the Usia is definitely my recommendation.
No doubt. Thanks, King, for popping through. We give thanks. We're actually going to go through a little bit of the Husia right now as well. The Husia actually lists quite a lot of the different scrolls or books. Is prominent within inside of the Kemetic thought. So obviously we have here the book of knowing the creations. We also have the book of prayers and sacred praises. We also have the book of moral narrative, which is the book of Hun and Nup. The books of wise instructions. So we have the book of Ptahhotep, which we mentioned earlier, the book of Kagemini, the book of Kheti, the book of Ani, the book of Amenhotep, the book of Shonki, the book of Pahilba. We've also got the books of contemplation, which is the book of Chakeper, Ras Soneb, the book of Ipuare, the book of dialogue with the soul, the book of songs, the book of Neferti, the declarations. Okay, so this is declarations of virtues, the book of rising like Ra, which is the book of coming forth by day, the book of vindication, the book of rising and transformation. So we've got a whole list of different scrolls and books we have with inside of our artillery. We're not actually stuck with one particular book, such as the Bible or the Quran or whatever else that people may actually have or hold on to. We have a whole list of books that we actually draw from for our guidance and our inspiration. And obviously we utilize nature to actually inspire us and to guide us in everything that we're doing as well. Simba, did you have a go? Did you give our audience anything that they should actually take on?
Great minds think alike. I was going to say Ptah-hotep, and I was going to say the Husia. In fact, I just posted it in the chat room. But there's an illustrated encyclopedia that you can buy from Amazon. Here it is. Here's one which deals with the quote-unquote religion of ancient Egypt, and here's the other that deals with the sacred sites in ancient Egypt. So it explains the pyramids and sphinx and temples and stuff like that, and the burial tombs. Yeah, so just in case anyone's missed it, and I'll post a link in the chat room for anyone who wants it. Yeah, so that's really it, really. But I'll definitely recommend Husia because, as you just mentioned, it's got the collections of all of the sort of the beginner's guides into Kemetic spirituality. And you got to understand, some of these texts are like 4,000 years old, 4,500 years old. You know, there is no Christianity, there is no Judaism, there is no Islam, and I don't mean that in an offensive way. I'm just making a point. You know, and in fact, what you want, if you look at comparative religious studies, what you see is religions in the Near East area mimicking what they're seeing in Kemet. So, for example, if you look at the Book of Proverbs in the Bible, much of that comes out of the instructions of Amenhotep, which is much older, and most biblical scholars would agree that that is actually the fact that whoever wrote the Book of Proverbs was deriving much of their content from the instructions of Amenhotep, and anyone can look that up. So, if I could, I just wanted to read like just a verse or two verses from the Book of Ptah-hotep, as everyone said on the panel, it is the oldest book in the world that we have today, the oldest book. And if anyone doesn't know who Ptah-hotep was a minister to the pharaoh in the Old Kingdom. So we're talking about like 4,500 years ago, 4,000 years ago, sometime around that period. And apparently, when he wrote this, the man was over 100 years old. So but let's just listen to some of the things he said, and tell me what you think about it. So this is the Book of Ptah-hotep, the first two verses. So here's the first verse. Be not arrogant because of your knowledge. Take counsel with the ignorant as well as with the wise. For the limits of knowledge in any field have never been set, and no one has ever reached them. Wisdom is rarer than emeralds, and yet it is found among the women who gather at the grindstones. If you are a leader and command many, strive for excellence in all you do, so that no fault can be found in your character. For Mayat, the way of truth, justice, and righteousness, is great. Its value is lasting, and it has remained unequal and unchanged since the time of its creator. It lies as a plain path before the ignorant, and those who violate its laws are punished. Although wickedness may gain wealth, wrongdoing has never brought its wares to a safe port. In the end, it is Mayat, the way of truth, justice, and righteousness, that endures and enables the upright to say, it is the legacy of my father and my mother. So that was written 4,500 years ago, 4,000 years ago at least, and it still applies today. And that's the beauty of spirituality, man. It's continuous. It's continuous. It still applies today, and it's all about living a life according to Mayat. That's what Kemetic spirituality is. I can't emphasize it enough. It's about living a life according to Mayat, so that we may be worthy to join the Neturut when we pass on. Peace.
Hotep, Hotep. All right. See, I'm not even trying to speak much because you know what? My eyes are tired. Okay, my eyes are real tired. So I'm going to apologize from now that I'm not speaking as much. I'm not being interactive as much. I want my brothers to literally go in, and please, if you got any questions, again, please just tag Titans TV and ask away, ask away. Let's see, who else is in here? You know what, yeah? My brother Phil, that book that you've got there, I want to know a little bit about it. The book that you showed to us. What's that book about? Then I'm going to go to my brother Asal.
To me, Phil?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so this is the book, The Ancient Mystic Rites, right? And this book, it has the ancient rites, the ancient rites of all different types of civilizations in general. But guess what? You know, the very first one is actually Egypt. You know, that's the first one. So that shows that at the end of the day, they knew who had the oldest forms out here. You know what I'm saying? They had the oldest forms. See, you got the Egyptian mysteries, and then you could go down into the Cretan mysteries. You know, they got their ancient rites, and then they got the Jewish mysteries. You know, you can see where their ancient rites stem. Greek mysteries. You know, do the comparison and analysis, things of that nature. So, and then the Mithraistic mysteries, Mithraic mysteries, right? And then they got the craft masonry in medieval times, the way they used to do it. You see, then you go to the operative masonry in the Middle Ages. You go up there. And then from the operative to the speculators, there's all types of different traditions and other rites and passageways and just ways to become spiritual. They got the Scottish rite. These are the ways this is what they utilize from other, I would think, derived from other mystery systems that they came in touch with. Because remember, everybody learns from each other. It's funny how in the Bible, everybody came to Egypt. Everybody in Egypt. But now they want to have something bad to say about Egypt. You went there with trying to eat, famine, all these other stories. You ran there for to get cured, but now it's like, oh, Egypt, right after you get cured. A lot of these prophets was in Egypt. You understand? So what did they do there? We had teachers there. They was there to learn. They were there to have theology and ideology debates and dialogues with our teachers. 40 years was what you take to become a Kemetic. I don't know about anybody else's spiritual system, but you have to learn everything: astrology, agriculture, engineering. You have to know medicine. So that's and the Kemetic person was the actual leader and ruler. Far as when it comes to stabilizing the civilization. You got Imhotep. He was the first really world-known genius. He's the one that really first architecture of the pyramids. Successful trials and errors. I keep telling you, you got to have a progenitor to whatever you do. Every civilization has a start. So, I just want to let y'all know that I'm out.
All right. I saw you actually unmuted your mic real quickly before I ask you a question.
Yes, sir. I wanted to take them into the sky real quick because we always talk about the sky. We talk about nature, etc., etc. You mind if I my brethren? So go into the sky real quick so you can see some of these mythos live. Hold on, let me go and pull up and pull the stellarium up real quick. This is what you don't generally get, right? Unless you go to a class with one of us. But let's go into the sky real quick. I did this for your brother Virtue the other night. The who, the how, the what. And this is how your ancestors viewed the sky. So right here, you see Sa'a. Let me pull him up straight. This is Sa'a. This is a star in the sky right here. This is his crown.
My brother, if you're sharing your screen, we're unable to see it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I think you would have to share it. You would have to do the share for me.
You should have like on your left hand side, it should be like a green button with the arrow, with a white arrow in the middle. If you see that button, I can
yeah, I think
your screen. But I can't actually share your screen.
Oh, there it is. You're right. Hold on. Let me go in real quick. Screen sharing. Okay, there's that. Let me go here. Let me pull up. Let me take y'all into the sky, just so you can, because you always hear us say stuff like, it's in nature. We do this by nature, etc., etc. But no one ever shows you the nature, do they? So let's show you some of the nature of the constellations that your ancestors saw. Here's Sa'a right here. This is basically a saw right here. This is his crown. You can see the white crown on his head. Scepter. Down here is the Arket, or the Yakugo, the ancestors are. It's underneath him because he sires them. And here you see the August star, which sometimes turns green. So when you read our text and you read about August, this and that, that's what they're talking about. Now, I have other portions in the sky which lead to other stories. I'm not going to get into the stories, pardon me, while I turn the sky around so we can get to some of the other parts of it. There's Sa'a. Here's Sek. Here's the lion in the sky. This is Ru. That's Selkis. This is a mooring post and the bull's foreleg, which you see them cut off, etc., and serve. And here goes the crocodile climbing the hippopotamus's back. Let me pull it down. Just so you can know where some of this stuff is at in the sky. It won't pull down for me. There it is. I'll show it sideways. This crocodile here, up the hippopotamus. These are the two poles, sometimes called the Neteru flags. This is the Bennu bird. Now, we do that just to superimpose Greek mythos. Let's go here. When you go to Greek mythos, you can see they're superimposed over the top and them having some of the similar stories that they tell through the sky. Whereas, we'll get back to Sa'a, that's Hercules, Cepheus. Here's the bear that everyone was familiar with. Sirius was over there too, but hold on, let me find Sirius. There's Orion, here we go. So Sirius is the dog star here. Orion is also considered to be a star. And you see Lepus, the bunny, underneath a star. And if you know Medu Nature, you know that one of Asar's names. That means the rabbit. And so these three crowns, or these three stars here, and this star here, make up Asar's crown, the white crown of the south. And Orion is Asar, and then here is that same Arquette location I talked about. And you can see the bright stars in it. And when we flip it over here, you can see they're using the same system that we were. Right there, that's Sa'a. Si'a. It's Asar. So you can see all that there. And I just wanted to show that real fast because we always talk about, the stories are in the heavens, they're in the pet, but no one ever shows you. So without telling a story, I just want to show you so you know, so you can get it from the source today. And with that, I'm done.
All right, all right. I want to know as well because you know what, we're so close to actually closing down. I'm apologizing because it's late over here, and I'm apologizing for doing the show so late as well. And Steer, I want you to come in as well. You know, we need the opposing views. We need, you know, don't feel as though that you can't come on because of whatever reason. No, we need it because maybe we're saying certain things that isn't as sharp, and other people need to hear it in another way possible. And we may be saying something that is completely wrong. And you can help us to, you know, sharpen ourselves, sharpen our own steel. So please come in as soon as possible. I have posted the link to you. So in your nearest possible time, please come on board and actually ask your questions. I'm going to open up the panel very soon to everybody else because I actually want to close down. Okay, I'm apologizing, but I've got to close down very early today. Quite late. We're actually past 1 o'clock. You know, we'll come to about 1 o'clock, so I need to close down soon. So a question I got to ask is because earlier on today I mentioned certain things to do with rites and rituals. My brother Phil has a certain book that's talking about the ancient mystic rites as well. So I want to know what rituals do you, as a Kemetic spiritual practitioner, actually perform? Please let us know. So I'm going to start with Asar, and I'm going to work my way down. Is there any spiritual practices that you?
Sorry about that. Yeah, my mic was muted. Absolutely. One of the things that I do is when you cleanse in the morning, you go water, then you go natron, then you go incense. Okay. This is written. This is on the walls of Edfu, etc., etc. Not only that, it's in a format which you can find in the pyramid text, which they wrote in the pyramid text as well. So first the shower, and I shower similar to those who follow Pythagoras, washing the mouth first, then the eyes, then the forehead, etc., down the body. And then when I get out, I brush the teeth, natron, which is baking soda and salt, a few things of that nature. And then the incense. And then I generally make an offering before I say my hymn Torah in the morning. I say 3 particular prayers during the day, similar to our Muslim brothers who do 5. And we also have the supererogatory. And if you go here, to kind of give you an idea, uh, we'll go to the brother Kiki's tomb. I won't share the screen, but he gives an adoration to Ra. He says, he is Ra when he rises in the sky. By the scribe, the accountant, the cattle of the temple of Amen Kiki. So what he says is this. He says, E out to you, or I'll read it in English. Hell to you, appearing in your bark. You illuminate the 2 lands with Behedet, who drives away evil. You rise, you shine, and you appear as the king of the Necharu. Nut makes for you the Nini gesture with her arms. Those of Ma'ul receive you in peace. The 2 ladies in the Necharet Merti give you homage. They praise the beauty of your majesty. Seb and Nut praise you. Their children are delighted for you. The monkeys are in worship, and the flocks which you created dance for you. You cross the sky, your face is joyful. There's more to that prayer, but these are the 3 prayers that I make throughout the day. I also make hymns to Asar as well. And that's what I do. You know, those are on a regular basis. Besides washing, besides eating, besides praising my ancestors for bringing me forth, and also showing respect to each thing in the universe because it's alive. I talk to my water before I drink it.
All right, thank you. Powerful. I love that. All right, Phil as well. Same question goes to you.
Well, I go pretty simple with the Mayat because I'm still a baby in this. Asar get busy. You know what I'm saying? You see what he's saying? He get busy. So, you know, I'm just a baby in it, 4 years in. You know what I'm saying? So I got another 36 to go, and so I stay simple with the Mayat right now, confessions, before I leave my dwelling, you know. I will not. And then when I come back home, I have not. You know, plain and simple, 1, 2, 3, until I reach my height. I'm trying to seek out Brother Jabari to get into his classes so I could, you know, elevate my consciousness, you know, and just basically do what I got to do. So my main things is the Mayat because it's easier right now. I don't know about the burning incense like a saw and things of that nature, but I'm gonna get there and trust me, I'm gonna enjoy it.
That's beautiful. That's beautiful. I love that. Simba, you there as well?
Yeah, brother. Yeah. Just like Phil said, I start off by saying the 42 negative confessions, saying that I will not do iniquity, I will not steal, I will not commit violence, etc. And then yet at the end of the day, I say I have not done iniquity, or I have not robbed, I have not stolen, I have not done murder, etc., etc. On top of that too, there's prayers, there's ritual, there's fasting. I do weekly. There's meditation that I do every day. Wake up at 6, spend half an hour meditating. There's also a lot of studying that has to be done. You have to read the text, and yeah, if you see it as a great place to start, but you have to study. You have to know what your ancestors are writing, what sort of ideas and concepts they were dealing with. On top of that, I'd also say is that spirituality isn't just something that you do at a certain time in the day. It's everything. It's all inclusive. It's it's the music you listen to. It's the food you eat. It's the company you keep. It's how you talk to people. It's how you treat your fellow man. It's all of that. You know, it's a way of life. It's a state of mind. It's all of that. It's all encompassing. And what I'd also say, last thing I'd say is, oh yeah, and one thing that I do too is keep the symbols close to me. So I've got an Ankh, which represents eternal life. I have the Wajet, which is the Eye of Haru, which is which reminds you that there's nothing is done in secret. It's all out in the open. So I try to live a life according to my acts. If anyone looks at my behavior, they can say, hey, this guy's doing the right thing. And on top of that, the last thing I'd say is, I practice Bukongo spirituality, which is the indigenous religion of the Bakongo people. But I link it up to Kemetic because as far as I'm concerned, it's all linked anyway. So yeah, so that's how I practice it, man. It's prayer, it's ritual, it's studying, it's meditation, it's fasting, but it's also about how you live your life and how you treat people. It's about living a life according to my art. Peace.
Beautiful, 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 beautiful. I love that. And I'm just about to do a food offering right now. For those people who don't know what a food offering is, it's literally, unwrapping or even preparing a particular item of food. And, you see this food here. This is powerful. This is coming from the region. Bro, this is to keep me live. If I don't eat this right now, I'm going to fall asleep. So I apologize.
Oh, yeah, and I also forgot to mention pouring a libation for the ancestors. Yeah, forgot to mention that too. Peace.
There we go. So now, into trouble now, okay? Because I've got my special over here at Talk with the Titans. We used to do this. We used to have like a 10-minute grill down session right at the end there, and usually we have debates off air. So I've got my grill down session expert coming on right now to grill us Kemetics, okay? So be prepared, okay? You better have your answers straight because he ain't taking no BS, all right? So let's go, all right? And say I'm going to ask you to please just ask one question at a time. Let the brothers answer it, or a particular brother answer it, and then keep it flowing as well. So go on, answer. The floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Callum. Peace, family. I'd just like to say I will ask questions and put people on the spot, but we're all family here, so it's all love, yeah? I'm just asking questions because that's me. I like to know that I know something for sure as much as I need to know it, So my question really is that, because I listened to the whole show, very interesting, and I've been on the chatting to people as well. My basic question is simply that I heard a lot of talk about God being mentioned in there, spirituality and all that stuff. My problem is simply that I am still a naturalist. I live in a physical universe where the physical way it works is how it works. And everything we experience as human beings has a physical explanation, even down to emotions and psychology and brain chemistry and things like that. So the question I would ask, guys, is how can somebody like me, who's quite skeptical of any magical dimension per se, how can you convince somebody like me that there definitely is any such thing as a spirit or even a dimension of spirituality in our universe? That's the question.
Well, let's first go to the deja vu. If this is a physical world, you shouldn't be able to see anything until it takes place, right? So if I am in touch with the universe and the universe shows me a window about something that's going to happen before it happens, and then I find myself later in this situation, how can that happen if everything is just physical? That's one question, right? Secondly, if a baby is stillborn, meaning it doesn't have a soul in it, it came out dead already. If it's just made of molecules and matter, how come it doesn't live and move? Those would be two questions in particular that you would want to ask and answer yourself. If there's no soul and all we are is molecules.
To be fair, I can answer those questions very, very easily, and I'm surprised that that's what you had. Deja vu. Listen. You asked me two questions. Please let me answer them. Deja vu. I've experienced it a number of times in my life, and it used to make me think that there is something magical out there. I've been a religious person for 23 years. I've been an agnostic for some years, but I've also been a deist and a pantheist for a number of years each. And it's for reasons like that. I couldn't explain deja vu. But one day it occurred to me that every time you have the feeling of deja vu, this is how it works, that one time something's happening and all of a sudden you know exactly what's going to happen. But that only occurs to you at the time when it starts happening. You don't have your dream a week ago and then you're sitting around waiting for that guy to say, can I have tomato ketchup? And you're going to say, no, whatever. Yeah, that never happens that way, meaning that you've already predicted it in your mind. The way deja vu has only ever been known to occur is that at the time it starts happening, that thing, then you start thinking, oh, hang on a minute, I dreamt this. So you don't know whether that memory of it is implanted in you at that time. You're claiming that you definitely had the dream and that happened first or blah, 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 but actually you don't know. So that deals with the deja vu question. The baby and the soul question, I mean, come on, what kind of question is that? This is the question I'm asking you. There is a physical, biological, medical explanation for how babies become babies from the two cells that they started from, yeah? Now, that is pretty academic, my brother. I really don't see where you can squeeze a soul in there. I just don't get it. This is what I'm asking you is like, what is this soul? Where is it? Tell me, where, what?
If that's the answer to the questions I propose to you, that would be wrong. Not only do police use people who have deja vu to predict things that may happen, I've had deja vus and I tried to stop my friend from getting killed. This is a recorded incident, which you can look up Vernon Chapman's death, when I called everybody because they knew me for having deja vus. You have it weeks before it takes place. Otherwise, it wouldn't be deja vu. If it's happening in that moment, you don't see it before it happens. So that's a bad explanation of that. The other one you didn't even attempt to answer. So a stillbirth child, if it's just molecules, and you don't really have an answer for that, as most atheists don't. But okay. Anybody else want to answer his questions as well?
Yeah, I just want to say this. I want to say two things first. Firstly, what you have to understand is we aren't looking for converts. You know, if you don't want to live the Kemetic lifestyle, then, you know, quite frankly, we couldn't care less. You know, we aren't Jehovah's Witnesses. We aren't going to come knocking you and say, hey, you know, guess what? You need to believe in this. No, you live your life. You know, no one cares what you accept, what you don't accept. So that's the first point I want to make. Second point I want to make is, at the end of the day, you're dealing with spirituality. You're dealing with metaphysical concepts. And it's going to be different for everyone else. There's going to be sort of one, you know, this is what you must believe. You know, it's not organized religion. So Yeah, sure. You might have some Kemetic brothers who lean more towards the metaphysical side, and then you have some brothers who lean more towards the naturalistic side. For me, the soul, or what the ancient Kemetic people call the Ba, is your individual personal character. It's who you are as a person. It's your personality. The Ka is your spirit, and your spirit is the vital essence that every person is born with. It's what distinguishes a person who's alive from a person who's dead. That's all it is. That's what the ancient people of Kemet called it. So if you understand it like that, then it's perfectly digestible within a naturalistic framework. Okay, the Ba being your individual personality, and the Ka being the vital essence that distinguishes a person who's alive from a person who's dead. That's all. It's nothing spooky, nothing complex. But we're dealing in concepts and allegory and mythology. You have to remember that. You got to keep that in mind. Yeah, so that's what I've got to say, man. Next question.
And sir, I'm going.
Yeah, I want to say something. Actually, not next question, because it's not that's not getting it, brothers. I'm being very honest and reasonable here. I will put my point to you again. The simple fact is that what you guys use to depend on as spirituality is on no firmer grounding than what a religious person uses for God. You are creating a magical dimension which you admit is not tangible, is not demonstrable. And is there to insist that you have to have a spirit, because when you're alive, your spirit is there, and when you're dead, just what are you talking about? When you're alive, we can say that scientifically.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Simba.
What I'm asking you is that to provide me with a better grounding for accepting a spiritual dimension than what religious people present for a magical dimension for their God. And they also play on this spirituality because of the morality side of things and stuff like that. All I'm asking you for is to provide me with a better explanation or a better demonstration of this magical dimension you claim than what they do, because as far as I'm concerned, it's on the same level.
Okay, answer, if it's possible, could you reframe the question so I can actually attempt to answer it? Because you know, my brain is not working at optimal speed right now, so I need simple questions. So,
right.
So the first question I think you ask them.
Yeah, I'll try and simplify it. What I'm saying is that spirituality, as far as I can see it, is just a magical dimension. You admit that it's not tangible or demonstrable. So that is the same as claiming a God or claiming a devil or claiming an afterlife. On what basis should I take that to be more serious than those claims?
So what's your question? Ask the question.
Like, why should I think there is a spirit if I don't think there's a God? On what reason is there more reason to think there's a spirit than there is a God or anything like that?
Great question. Great question. Keep your mics muted, please. You know what? Yeah, I know most people will laugh at me right now because I'm actually on the side of Ansir, to be honest with you. I come from, you know, the Kemetic school of science and philosophy in the sense of gnosis and actually being able to demonstrate and prove certain claims. Inside of they usually have the spiritual school or the spiritual science school, which is completely separate from the philosophy and the science aspect of Kemeticism, so to speak. And I tend not to speak on anything spiritual in public. Why do I say that? Because I like to only give you know, how can I say it, truth claims or factual claims or claims that can actually be demonstrated and proved. And unfortunately, when we get into the spiritual realm, it is something that isn't, it's very difficult to prove those things there. Very, very difficult to try to prove those things there. It's very much so experiential. You have these experiences, but to try to actually articulate that to somebody else who hasn't had those experiences is going to be a very, very difficult thing to do. Personally, again, I'm going to go back into what Ansir was saying about a magical realm of spirituality and so forth. Personally, again, sorry, Kemetic people, allow me in it. I don't actually believe in nothing like that. I literally don't have any conceptualization of there is some spiritual, I don't know. I don't even know. I don't even know whatever it is that people might actually imagine in their minds. I hold to that naturalistic explanation where Asar was breaking down previously, and he was talking about the quantum fluctuation and breaking it down and showing the resemblance inside of the mythology and philosophy about Nun and the net and bringing forth or birthing forth a particular force which we would consider to be atom and so forth, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And for me, these are talking about scientific elements and principles of inside of nature manifesting itself in nature, and it's simply the people actually attributing mythos to those stories. And that's the beauty that I actually hold on to. I actually hold on to that because it's just so much more beautiful and truthful and something that you can actually see and prove and demonstrate. And that's for me personally. But all the spiritual stuff, I think most times we pull on the religious side of Christianity and Islam, and we try to bring it over into Kemeticism, where those type of foundations may not actually be within inside of the Kemetic school. That's me personally. This is what I've come to understand and realize. Everybody else is going for a different path. So I don't know. I don't know if that answers your question. So Anse, if you could just probe my mind a little bit more so I can give you something from my own understanding of Kemeticism.
Yeah, no, I really appreciate that, Callum. And this is one of the things that I really get on well with you, intellectually and as well as on a personal level. You're a very intellectually honest person. I've never actually heard you drive or speak in that kind of way, because obviously I'd have probably mentioned it before. And when I have seen you excel is when you talk about things in history and the texts of Islam and Christianity and Kemetic knowledge. Obviously, you know, I mean, I learned things from you about that. But the thing that I have about this is exactly what you said, is that why do you think it is that you don't play on this specific spiritual side of it? It's because it's not intellectually honest to do that. Yeah, if there is a physical explanation for our physicality, what's it called? The philosophical razor would be that there's no need to make things up. We have a very solid and demonstrable and verifiable and repeatable and testable, and everybody can check, way of understanding our physicality. Now, spiritual realm, I understand, it helps people, it makes people better, it gives people, you know, so many other benefits in life, and I don't want to take that away from them. The only question I say is that it's something that human beings made up. We like in the past when we couldn't understand trees or lightning or nature, we made up stuff to explain it. We are now got a bit further, and there's a lot of things about ourselves and our brains. It's a very young science. There's a lot of stuff about our brains that we just don't understand. Now, because of that, we are inclined to do the same mistake of making up a magical dimension, but introverted. And it's still the same principle. When we don't know something, we are inclined to make something up that makes us feel better. And it's the same thing of some, you know, big magic all-togetherness. And, you know, you can see how it fits in with your understanding of human psychology. So that is just my position. And I can't see any reason for people doing that.
Definitely, I see where you're coming from. I you know, I'm holding on to that as well. And if someone asked me, I would actually tell you that these stories are made up. They're mythos. All mythoses aren't false, so to speak. It is symbolic stories telling a greater truth. And I hope, I'm going to put it out there, I hope that other Kemetics don't actually believe these stories as religion would have you believe those. For example, you have the story of, you know, Ra sending out his eye, Sekhmet, and it devouring, you know, the whole land. And the only way you can be, you know, how can I put it, placated was to drink, you know, a river full of beer that was painted red or something like that. I hope we don't actually believe those stories as actual facts. I think that we look at these stories as literally that, stories from African context. We always made up stories, you know, the rabbit and the hare and the tortoise, etc. We clearly knew in our mind these are fables that we're making up to tell a greater truth. Okay, the fable and the hare, like Ra, like, you know, just because you're fast, not to say that you're always going to win or win the race. You know, sometimes you have to take your time and be patient and actually go ahead in your strides and so forth. So it's the same with the mythology in Kemet. We separated to say this is mythos. This is a story that's made up to tell a much more profound and greater truth. That's the way I see it. So I'm with you, Ansel. Definitely, I'm with you, and I'm always trying to push forward first the science aspect. Okay, I reject every single claim. I'm the biggest skeptic. That's why I hate to actually be the poster boy for anything, because I'm a skeptic. I'm like, boy, I don't know it. I don't know. I don't know. I can't even tell you that it's true. I can just say I don't know, but let me point you to someone who may know something. So what I'm going to do right now is point you to somebody who's going to let me know that they want to speak next and speak, because I'm with you and say I actually think that these are a mythology. These are stories made up by the Kemetic people, or the people inside of the Nile Valley, looking at nature and trying to explain it the best way they can. Sometimes they use science, sometimes they use philosophy, and maybe, not to my knowledge, I haven't seen where they've literally just fabricated something, but maybe they could have potentially done that as well. So I'm going to open it up. Who wants to go next? Okay, Ansel, go ahead quickly. And
yeah, Callum, I just wanted to say one thing just to balance out my situation, because on the chat I got the feeling that I was really, really misunderstood. My point of view is just from a point of view of trying to find out what is actually true. So when it comes down to, because some people accuse me of certain other things. Now, I've come across Kemet knowledge from the 90s, the mid 90s. It's been around me and people I'm very intimately close with for a number of years. We're talking over 20 years now. So it's something I'm reasonably familiar with. Now, I appreciate there's a hell of a lot of good knowledge there. There's a hell of a lot of factual information there. There's a hell of a lot of respect to be given to the Nile Valley culture in terms of how they assimilated with nature. And you can say that about many cultures because they didn't have much choice, did they? That's what survival is working with nature. And in those times, they didn't have the technological buffer that we have now in other aspects of our development. So what I'm saying is that I appreciate all that, and I understand how your culture was ripped and stolen from you and almost stamped out of existence. And I agree with a lot of those things. Some of the things I don't agree with, but a lot of them I do. Now, this question that I have about spirituality is the same question I ask religious people about God. It's the same question I would ask about the alien experiences. It's the same question I would ask people who think they've seen ghosts. It's just being reasonable. There's no good reason to have another dimension when physical reality that is tangible anyway. If you make something up and you say it's not touchable by physical reality, well, maybe it just doesn't exist, because you'd be in the same situation if you were talking about something that didn't exist. You'd just be able to say we can't tangibly. So how do you know it exists?
Definitely. All right. So I'm going to go over to Astar real quickly, and then I'm going to go to Phil, then Simba. So go ahead, Astar.
I respect my brother Ansar's question. I think it's a good question. It's a question you have to ask, except for the simple fact that you didn't answer the other two questions after we posed them to you, and the fact that deja vu does exist, where you have it a week away to 2 weeks, sometimes a month away, and then it appears to you later on. So we know that is fact. I don't know where that comes into a different realm at. That's just an actuality. But concerning the Netcheru and the stories, remember, people didn't have television back then. People told stories through the stars. They told the stories through the stars and the happenings on Earth, happenings on the planet Earth, and actual happenings in the stars. So when an eclipse comes, they describe it a certain way. This is ancient television. That's what the mythos is. So when I tell you the Netcheru exists, because I can see the sun, but they didn't call it the sun. They called it Ra. I can see the sky. They called it the Pa'ut, the Pout. I can see the earth is set. The vegetation is a SAR in one form. I can tell you there are overlapping Netcheru, and the moon is also a SAR in another story. So this is not a different realm, no, this is explanations for the things in your universe, and you're using a different language to explain what you pronounce in English as earth, what you pronounce in English as sun, what you pronounce in English as the sky. Now, concerning a different realm, I don't know where you're going with that. A spirit exists in this realm, but when we say it's simple, it is simple. I can tell a body that is dead from a body that's alive. I still know the molecules from the dead body are still there. It hasn't decomposed yet. So I know something inside of it used to make it animated. I know whatever animated it then is no longer working now.
All right, all right.
Callum, that was three
what did I
questions.
say?
That you made 3 points.
Right. So, and I'm not even finished, family, but I appreciate you answering asking those types of questions. Those are real questions, and you have to have those answered before you can go further. But I'm not going to hog the mic. I'm going to shut up and let y'all go in tonight. You can always holler at me if you need more.
All right. And then I'm going to go now to Phil. Phil, okay, King.
Deja vu. That's what y'all was on. Well, I just believe that man has a way of foreseeing certain things through observance. You can make things come to fruition if you do certain things. So, it's all about your gut feeling, I believe, and a correlation to if it's in the stars, because you will always get signs, but do you recognize the signs that you're looking at? That's the main thing. So when before something bad happens to you, you go, dang, I knew I shouldn't have went down there, but you went down there and that happened. It's like you already knew what it was. You prophesized prior, but you still tested it. I think you should listen to those gut feelings and those vibes in the universe, in the algorithms in your brain that's telling you don't go down that road, don't go down that path. That's what I think is synonymous with deja vu. You probably saw it in your mind, maybe dreamt it up, but those were certain signs you should have, I think, paid attention to in order for that deja vu, depending upon if it's good or bad, not to happen. Because there's good deja vus. So that's where I would explain it. It's all about what you put out into the universe will come back. And that's it.
All right. All right. So let me just do this a little bit more because I'm starting to see where we can actually have some point of clarity. Earlier on, my brother Ansi was talking about the magical realm or spiritual realm and so forth. And I'm going to just, go on a limb and say, I think a lot of times when we're talking about this realm of spirituality, we're actually talking about elements within inside of us, or the psychological elements within inside of us. Okay, and we're talking about the subconscious and tapping into the subconscious, or tapping into the ability to dream, the ability to visualize, whatever abilities do we have, our banks and so forth. And I think that is what we're talking about when we're talking about the spiritual realm, the realm that is intangible, so to speak. Okay, the intangible realm within inside of us as human beings. And I acknowledge that if that's the spiritual realm that people are talking about, I think I'm there with you. I acknowledge it. And what I like doing is spiritual science. Okay, spiritual science. I love doing things that we can actually test, we can verify, we can duplicate over and over and over again and see if we can get similar same results and kind of write out some type of hypothesis and theories for these occurrences. I don't know if a lot of us belong to certain spiritual schools, and we may do certain experiments along that path because belong to those schools. But we'll discuss that a little bit further on, and I think we could be jumping into that if that's what Ansir is talking. No, Ansir, talk to me. I want to know exactly what you were talking about, what you want to talk about right now, and if that merges in with it.
Okay, yeah. I mean, you're right. That is exactly what my point is. So if you want, I can stick to that. But I mean, the brothers brought up quite a few other little points, and if you want, I could address them really quickly as well. I don't mind.
Go into this one, so we can go ahead.
what I say, the reason why I personally have a problem with calling it Kemetic science is because that's a blatant, you know, it's encroachment on the word science. The word science has a very of what it's referring to, and not just the facts that you gain from it, is the methodology, and that is specifically a well-defined thing. Now, when you and it can't be used to talk about any type of spirituality, because by definition you're not dealing with the physical world anymore, and science by definition is dealing with the physical world. So you can't call things spiritual science because it's a blatant mismatch of words. You know, the words are mutually exclusive. Dealing in the physical realm, you have to do science with your rationality and your physical senses to make experiments, to test physical things. The exact opposite of that. So what science? It's like the science of Hadith. There's no science of Hadith. It's a subjective way of reading literature. Is there a science of reading Shakespeare? No, there's not. So you know what I mean? It's just an encroachment on certain words, which I think is, at the end of the day, if your spirituality helps you and it's all good and you like to see it in that way, that's fine. But when people try to act as if, oh, well, there's no other explanation for why a human body, and then it stops moving the next minute. Yes, there is a good explanation. There are 7 life processes that all living creatures have to exhibit to be defined a living creature. There are slight problems when you get down to certain levels of bacteria and whatever and stuff, but for literally 99.99999% of all life, the 7 life processes are good enough to define a living creature. And this is basic biology. Now, when body physicality breaks down, if it's enough to stop the whole system from breaking down, to break down, that will occur. And once the brain or the heart or the certain process of an animal have gone to a certain point, they cannot be revived again. This is repeatedly demonstrated in the billions of creatures we witness and see every day. So I don't see where's the reason to stick in. There must be a spiritual dimension, because a living creature is alive and moving 1 minute, and then the next minute it doesn't move and it hasn't got personality. We know that. There's still no space for you to invent a spiritual dimension for that.
Yeah, but I want to say this. Imhotep helped people today through the herbal processes and things that he categorized. So it is a science. He helped with structural engineering, which gave people the Pythagorean theorem, A squared plus B squared. I could keep going, but in addition, we helped out with the scalpel. That is to use today that we're not getting profit for, that's being done in various surgeries around the world. You got to understand, it is a science. We had to study the agriculture of the land to know when to get the crops. We had buried all types of holes in the ground and created wells so we knew when the Nile would flood. In addition, the sundial.
Brother Phil, let me kind of help out here. Pardon me, Kalam. The word for science is Kemia in ancient Kemet, number 1. So you probably want to mark that down. You can see the Greeks attest to this science, but as Brother Phil pointed out, the first almanacs are back in ancient Kemet. When you talk about the body in the Bremerine papyrus and where you get stuff like eye treatment from cow urine, these are things that we knew in science. This is the Kemia in ancient Kemet. So when you claim that there's no science in ancient Kemet, when they are the backbone of the science you use today and some of the medical treatment you use today, all you got to do is look at the Bremerine papyrus. It's there. It's there. We can go in depth and break these things down. So for you to say there's no science, Brother Ansar, you got to do some research. But I'm not going to go in too heavy. I'm going to say, if you want to discuss it offbeat, because I know it's midnight over there, we can have another discussion, and I'll break the sciences down. And they go with the psychology, which is the mythos.
Okay, let me just quickly jump in. I don't want to misquote Ansir at all. I don't think he's denying the science within inside Kemet. Am I correct? I don't think he's denying that. I think he is stating that the putting those two words, spiritual and science, together is kind of like an oxymoron. Is that what you're basically saying? Okay, so and I understand what he's saying with that, and I wanted to know, can we test the unseen, and what do we mean by spiritual in terms of the Kemetic lens? What do we refer to as spiritual when we say spiritual? And if that thing, can that thing actually be tested and verified? That's my question. So for example, I definitely know in terms of the Kemetic schools, we have spiritual schools, and we have things to do with, dreams and things of that nature. And they had they had dream books, so to speak, okay, where with inside of the culture, they tested out, when people dreamt about certain things, what was it about? They must have had cataloged a lot of these dreams and see the similarities with people's dreams and what it correlated with. Is that a form of science, or is that, I don't know, what would you call that? Because we're testing something that takes place with inside of the supernatural on a natural, sorry, not supernatural, subconscious level, on natural,
non-physical.
Right. When you have the priest take some of the children who have dreams about the future and they harness them, and they do the females as well, these are who becomes your oracle. These are those people who become your oracle, and they test them, and there's some scriptures on them. But when you look at the word spiritual, what are we saying? Relating to or affecting the human spirit or soul, as opposed to material or physical things. When you build up a psychology in someone's mind through mythos, they tend to pull from that energy, and psychology will tell you that mythos, like a lot of people believe in Jesus, a lot of people believe in Allah, we believe in nature. When you pull from those things, it tends to help and mend the heart easier, and people have healed themselves physically with those tools by mentally feeling that they're okay and pulling on that psychological power. But I'll tell you that these particular things in nature are just simply alive. Water is alive. You can't argue that. Grass is alive.
So I want to know, answer.
As simple as that. The physical is alive, and there's spirit inside of each thing. Everything is alive. That's just a known scientific fact.
So answer, I want to know, doing, studies and experiments with individuals' subconscious, and building particular hypotheses and theories based upon their experience, and cataloging those experiences. Would you say that is a scientific method operating on what they would consider the spiritual, or the intangible within inside of a human being?
Yeah, well, the fact of the matter is, being a naturalist, I have not yet ever found any reason to invent any type of magical dimension at all. Even things that I've got no clue about, I still won't do that, because that's dishonest. So what I would say is that dreams are still not magic. When you were describing it, I think what you meant to say was non-physical thing. Science be used to detect or determine any non-physical thing. Actually, well, when you look at it, what are dreams? Where do they occur? Have you ever heard of dreams occurring without a brain being present? Yeah. So let's get down to the nitty-gritty. Even in the short time that neurophysiology has been, we have already found that dreams and thoughts are the product of chemicals in your brain. Okay. Now you can make yourself have certain feelings. You can feel happy just by thinking positive thoughts, by seeing a picture of your child. That's not magic. That's how the brain works. Just because we don't know the actual fundamental nitty-gritty.
See, answer. I'm because from as far as I know, I don't think from the Kemetic side of things. I don't know. I don't know how everybody thinks on the panel, but from the Kemetic side of things, I don't think anybody will dispute with you in terms of you need the physical to have those types of experiences. I don't think anybody here would disagree with you, and I think it's the study of the physical having those those type of experiences, which isn't particularly tangible. Does that make any sense? Like, having, picturing a gray elephant in your mind right now is not something that's tangible, but there is obviously physical neurons, etc. And there is a brain and there's a human being that needs to, actually conceptualize that thought in order to have that experience. But I don't think anybody on the panel would actually disagree with you on that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does. But then that's the reason why I question why they ever need to invent a magical dimension, because we start from the physical, and there is an explanation for the non-physical aspects of us being a physical thing, but also having a psychology and a consciousness. These are not physical things, but guess what? Neither is morality, neither is justice, neither is mercy. We made up these concepts, so there's a lot of things in the world that we've even invented that are not physical things. But the fact of the matter is, it all starts from a physical thing. Rocks don't have a concept of mercy or justice or law, or because it happens in our brains, and everything that along those lines happens in our brains. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said it's different aspects of our psychology, because that is really all we have to go on.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, because I definitely agree with you. I don't know if Asad agrees with you, because I know from the Kemetic standpoint, there is a sensible realm and then there is the intelligible realm. Okay, so we dwell things, everything dwells on the sensible realm, and things such as ma'at, truth, justice, balance, etc., reciprocity, all dwell within inside of the intelligible realms, and we materialize the intelligible, those concepts, in our physical world day to day. For me, this is why I understand of Kemetic science, but I got brothers like, other brothers who are much more, skilled in other things than me. So if I'm wrong, like, correct me. Asaf, correct me if I'm wrong.
I wouldn't say you're wrong. He makes some brother Ansar. You look at a portion of the picture, never the whole. If someone is in a coma and pronounced brain dead, the body still lives because the heart still beats, doesn't it? And if the heart and the body heals the brain again, all of a sudden the body is back up. You come out of the coma, don't you? But for a while you were brain dead. So it's not all the brain, which would explain why our Ramesh people will pull the brain out and hold the heart in reverence, because we believe it has a soul in it. It's the pocket of what makes the body live. So that's what we consider the soul to dwell in, okay? But like I said, if your brain dead and everything is just thought and it's all physical, you shouldn't be alive anymore. Anytime the molecules break down, we're talking real science. Anytime the molecules break down, if it's a physical world, and then you mentioned rocks, and when you look at rocks, water, and plants, I'll put you onto a documentary. It's called Do Plants Talk? Because everything around you is alive and everything has a conversation. Water has a conversation with itself, and it has a conversation with us, which is why before I drink it, generally I'll say something sweet to it. So you have to realize all things in the universe are alive. And when you take that out of your mind, you start to create skepticism for yourself. And then it's harder for you to adjust to regular life. You start to do things like not build from nature that are opposite of nature in order to help your existence. The brother stepped away. If you want to answer, go ahead, family.
Yeah.
Well,
Can I just say something?
I would say the testing the unseen. That's the last thing that stuck in my mind. You said, as far as this testing the unseen, I would say the vibes you get from a person when they know they're heated at you, when you feel their energy. That's testing the unseen to me. Or when you're talking to a plant, our carbon dioxide helps feed it, and it feeds us back oxygen. To me, that's testing the unseen. All the way up to technology where you could Bluetooth something, or you picking up radio waves. You don't see the radio waves, but it's intercepting into your device. That's testing the unseen. They are now teleporting molecules. They just got to figure out how to keep it all back in order. but they teleporting things like molecules from one place to another. That's testing the unseen.
Actually, I disagree because, for example, I mean, reading somebody's energy. Could you read somebody's energy if you didn't get to look at them, or you read in their body language? Let's be honest. Your brain is a powerful machine which does a lot of calculations every millisecond. So when you were talking about reading someone's energy, I read people's energy, but I can't do it until I look at them, or until I hear them, or I smell them, or feel them. If I don't have any of those things to go by, I cannot read their energy, can I?
What if
You
they
can feel
creep up behind you and you feel them behind you because of your aura?
Right, so I would have to hear something or feel something, yeah? You wouldn't be able to read any energy without any type of way of reading, of noticing it. Tell me how.
You may not hear anything. You may just feel somebody staring at you, turn around and see somebody staring at you. You didn't feel anything. You didn't know anything. You just felt from your magnetic aura, if you know about your body and auras, which are about 8 feet, that somebody was staring at you. This is where you start to
so has anybody ever got stabbed from behind? Has anybody ever been attacked or stabbed from behind?
I've been stabbed on my side, yes.
So why wasn't your aura working that day, mate?
It was, and I didn't
What happened to your
penetrate it. It just scraped both times. Then I stabbed with my machete. I happened to feel like somebody was going to stab me. I jumped up, and he barely caught me. There's 2 nicks on my side, and then he caught the machete. It is what it is. He's not dead, but
you don't think it's possible that the brain registered a movement or a sound that made you react before, right? Because a lot of people get stabbed from behind without ever noticing it, and the reason is because they didn't hear or smell or see anything.
Not everybody's.
So my point still stands.
Get back in tune with nature. That's why we tell you to come on home so you can get back in tune with nature. Not everybody's on the same aura level. But to say that you've never felt somebody staring at you and turned around and seen them, and you just happen to have intuition, how did that happen if there's no test for the spirituality?
You see what?
Look,
real quickly, answer real quickly. You see, this is why, yeah. This is some interesting talks, and we're jumping around to different topics, and this is why we should have, spiritual science. Okay, spiritual science. Definitely from our Kemetic side, if we're discussing things to do with aura, we definitely need to define what an aura is, what encapsulates an aura, what is the constituent parts of an aura, etc., and how can we actually, how can we prove this? So how can we demonstrate this particular claim? Do we have any experiments that has taken place that we can actually present? This is one of the reasons why I detest speaking about these topics without actually having the evidence at hand, so we can actually demonstrate it and show and prove. Because right now we're just talking for the sake of talking, but really and truly we should, as well as being spiritual, we should have the science aspect. Sometimes we call that mysticism, but we should always, have the science aspect hand in hand so we can actually show other people as well, and not just simply talk about it. So I would rather defer from speaking about auras right now. Hopefully later on we can actually present something on auras and what it actually has, because I think both of you are saying certain things, and I think if we add the science, my brother's speaking from a spiritual standpoint and you're speaking from a science standpoint, and the beauty of it is that it should be merged. And I think that you both have very strong points, and they should just simply come in line with each other, and you'd be like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? I can hear from 8 feet away, or I can feel, there's certain pheromones or whatever is acting upon me, hormones, there is testosterone, your subtle body can actually pick up these types of energies. But if we're speaking from a scientific level, we can definitely show and prove what you're talking about from a spiritual level as well. And when we're saying spiritual, what I personally think about is the unseen. So where my brother is saying you may have heard something, quite rightly so, your subconscious, which is, the most powerful element within inside of you, could have picked up and perceived a sudden shift of wind, a sudden shift of a noise, a sudden shift somehow, which made you be alert and so forth. So I think that is all encompassed in what we consider to be an aura itself. But hopefully next time round, we can get down on these things. I think Anne said you need to put up some points, list up some points, and then hopefully Asar, we come back, we get some points together, and then we can see how the spiritual and the science actually merge together as well. It's late, you know, family is late. This is a great show, you know. I'm actually enjoying this. It's a great 2 hour mark already. Nah, sorry. Forgive me, family. Forgive me. I just realized we hit the 2 hour mark. I was trying to get it for an hour and a half latest. So we hit the 2 hour mark, family. All I can ask you right now is to please hit the like button, hit the like button. If you aren't already subscribed, hit the subscribe button as well. I'm actually going to post the link so you can join us inside of the chat section, okay? You can join us off air and get in tune with the conversation. Let me just quickly read what somebody's saying here. Ego will always get in the way. Toxic people never understand it. Kemetic spiritualism. Does the philosophy make any predictions or just fit stuff to known science? Good question. That's a very good question. I like that question. Say you are burned, the same. Okay, cool. Cool. So I see you guys are getting busy inside of the comment section. I apologize that I haven't been able to actually, peer into your questions and actually ask them live on air. But we're going to shut down this particular element of the show. And then we're going to actually have some nice dialogue. But if you want to learn some more about Kemetic spiritualism, we're definitely going to do some further shows on it. We need people like Ansel to come in and join and actually critique the information that we're presenting. I hope no one is offended. Okay, no one is offended. Definitely in the comment section, there's no need for us to be offended. I think our brother has very valid questions, and it helps us to sharpen our claims. It helps us sharpen our claims, definitely. You know, still literally sharpens still. So, Asar, I don't know if you have any last closing words, or Phil and Simba, if you have any last words, please drop them.
Uncle Josh Sineb, to the Sunni Sinet listening, thank you, Brother Ansar, for asking those questions. Those are the types of questions, as Brother Kalam said, will sharpen you. And as you can see, we're on the spot. So I can't, hold on, let me go get this book. No, answer on the spot. And you should know these things. If you don't know, you need to step back and digress and go learn first. And I think he asked some very valid points and questions. Last, Camilla, the science of ancient Kemet is the science that you use today. So don't misconstrue the two. Our spirituality is found within the science. They never separated school from church as we do today. You understand? Our spirituality and science went together, and the psychology was very important to us. I happen to keep the psychological tradition alive, and I always will. So I'll die like that. And the rest of you may become atheists. Hopefully you don't. Hopefully you become Rametz lifestylists, and you keep the journey. You keep Hekenu Necher alive, praising the divine alive, and you're either a Shemsu Heru or a Shemsu Asar or whatever you go on to be. Make sure you learn it and study it to a science so you can answer these questions appropriately. Ankwash Jed, life and stability and strength to you all.
Love. Phil, did you have anything to say? Any closing words? Or Simba, any closing words?
Yeah, I was just going to say, on magic, the ancient Egyptians had a different concept of the word magic that we do today. The ancient Egyptian word for magic is Heka, and Heka, all Heka referred to was the creative energy of the universe. That's all it was. So it's not like it's not about pulling rabbits out of top hats or anything like that. I also wanted to say that if you want to practice Kemetic spirituality within a naturalistic framework, you can certainly do that. As I was saying earlier, spiritual just means relating to the soul or the spirit. The soul in ancient Kemet is referred to as the Ba. Your Ba is it's who you are. It's your unique personality. It's whether you're Kalam, Ansir, Asar, Phil, whoever you are, that's your soul. It's nothing spooky, nothing airy-fairy, nothing supernatural. It's who you are as an individual. Your spirit is your Ka. You know, ka refers to your vital essence that keeps you alive. It's what distinguishes a person who's alive from a person who's dead. That's all it is. Nothing spooky, nothing supernatural. That's all it is. If you're alive, you have a ka. If you aren't alive, then your ka has left your body. That's all it is. That's just the metaphysical understanding of what it is. Even things like prayer, like I don't like Heru has a falcon's head. Like, when was the last time you saw someone walking down the street with a head of a falcon? I mean, Anubis has the head of a jackal. When was the last time you saw someone walking down the street with the head of a jackal? Like, we don't actually believe these people are literal, real people. Okay, you're dealing with concepts, you're dealing with allegory, you're dealing with mythology, you know. And again, what I'll just say to everyone else out there is the most important thing in Kemetic spirituality, as far as I'm concerned, is living the life according to my art, living the life according to truth and righteousness and justice. That's what Kemetic spirituality is for me. Nothing spooky, nothing crazy, nothing airy-fairy, nothing outside of this world. That's what spirituality is all about. And on that, I'll say peace.
Peace. Thank you. Oh, man. And Brother Phil.
Yes, I think spirituality is explained through things like the soil in the ground. If it's live, if it's alive, it will bring you great fruit. If it's barren, it would not. It's dead. Even science calls it a life cycle. So you can't separate spirit. Because spirit is described as life. The ground, the trees, everything around you has a life cycle. And we associate life with having some type of spirit. You know, hey, he got a mean spirit. Oh, he killed his spirit. Things of that nature describe life. So at the end of the day, when you look at science and they have something called a life cycle, they understand that some type of spirit is in that type of life cycle. That's all I want to say.
Thank you, my brother. Thank you. So right now we've got a full panel. Let me actually just show you guys. You guys are not seeing the panel right now. So let me just show you guys what the panel is actually saying. Hopefully you can see it right now on your screens. It should be popping up right now. So we got a full panel that's ready to get involved with this conversation. What I'm going to ask you guys is to please hit the like button. Easy, trust me, that win. Hit the like button down below and let everybody know that you're watching Titans TV. And we're definitely about to get it in. We've got the Titans here, you know, we've got the Speakers Corner Titans, we've got the USA Titans, like we've got everybody here, and I'm sure there's brothers from all around the world that wants to actually get it on tonight. So we're going to continue to early hours in the morning, family. I'm going to sign out right now. This has been a show on Kemetic Science Explained, Kemetic Spiritual Science Explained, should I say? And hopefully we can get into some much more deeper topics whilst we're off air. Thanks, family, for tuning in. This has been Talk of the Titans. I've been your host, Callum L, and I'm signing out. Peace.